In the world of investing, you do not have to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. You just have to avoid doing, well, stupid things. This quote comes from Charlie Munger. When I heard that phrase for the first time, it struck me as brutally honest. Over the years, I realized it was not a joke. It was a warning. Because most people do not lose their wealth through total ignorance. They lose it through a moment of overconfidence. And let me put this bluntly. Today, it is easier to lose money than at any other time in financial history. Not because the market is more cruel, but because the speed is brutal. YouTube is full of promises about financial freedom in 30 days. But no one explains how to prevent your savings from disappearing in 5 minutes. And that is exactly what we're going to do today. We are not going to talk about how to get rich. We are going to talk about how to avoid ruining what you have already built. Because the market has no memory. It does not know how hard you worked. It does not know how many sacrifices you made. It does not know how many weekends you gave up to build your emergency fund. In the modern financial system, no one has immunity. And if you trust something you do not fully understand, if you trade based on emotion, or if you let your ego make decisions, your capital can evaporate while you are pouring a cup of coffee. In this video, we are going to analyze how that happens in real life. No artificial drama, no absurd promises. We are going to dissect the anatomy of a financial loss. Because understanding how wealth is destroyed is the first step toward preserving it. It was not a global crisis. It was not a war. It was a decision made between a phone call and a cup of coffee. Meet Mike, an architect, 45 years old, 2 decades spent building a solid fund, a stable bank account, a diversified portfolio, liquidity for emergencies, nothing extreme. One Tuesday morning, he reads about a strategy involving financial options. Options are derivative instruments that allow you to lock in future prices. They are legitimate tools used by professional funds to hedge risk, but they can also amplify losses if they are not fully understood. Mike watched a tutorial. It seemed clear. It seemed structured. It seemed easy. He traded on margin. Here is the dangerous word, margin. Margin allows you to use borrowed money to increase your exposure. It increases the potential for gain, but also the potential for loss. The market moved just 2% in the opposite direction. His position was closed automatically. In less than 5 minutes, he lost 80% of the capital intended for his children's college education. It was not fraud. It was not manipulation. It was a sophisticated tool used without complete mastery. The speed of today's financial system does not forgive improvisation. I believe that today, having access to complex tools without deep education is like giving a plane to someone who watched a 15-minute tutorial. The most dangerous thing is not losing. It is winning fast. Imagine you invest a small amount in a volatile asset. It goes up 30% in days. You feel brilliant. Your brain releases dopamine. You start to believe that you understand the pattern. You increase your exposure. You double your position. Now the market corrects. Volatility does its job. What was a gain disappears. And now you are also losing your initial capital. This psychological pattern is known as intermittent reinforcement. It is the same principle used by casinos. You do not need to lose every time. You just need to win enough to keep playing. In financial markets, overconfidence is more dangerous than ignorance. Because ignorance doubts, euphoria does not. Your money can exist and still not be available to you. Many people think the only risk is choosing the wrong asset, but there is another less visible risk: custody. Custody means where and how your financial assets are being held. Imagine a family that concentrates all its resources in a single financial institution. Everything looks solid. But that entity faces internal liquidity problems. Withdrawals are frozen temporarily. It is not that the money has disappeared, but access is restricted, and when you need urgent liquidity, you cannot use your own capital. This is not paranoia. It is about understanding that wealth preservation includes evaluating where your assets are located. Diversification is not just about having different investments. It is also about understanding custody structures. I call it financial survival architecture. It does not depend on a single door. It has multiple access points. The most intelligent people also lose money, and sometimes even faster. There is something called uniqueness bias. It is the belief that I see something that others do not see. Brilliant professionals fall for this: surgeons, engineers, executives. In their field, they are extraordinary. But they transfer that confidence to the financial market. And the market does not respect academic titles. It respects risk management. When someone believes they found an opportunity that is too clear, that is when they should stop. If something promises high returns with minimal risk, the risk is probably hidden. It is not always fraud. Sometimes it is simply misunderstood complexity. Financial humility protects more wealth than aggressiveness. It is not always an explosion. Sometimes it is erosion. Forgotten subscriptions, unreviewed fees, misunderstood interest rates, financial products signed without reading the conditions. Nothing seems serious, but accumulated over years, the impact is enormous. I have seen people with high incomes and weak wealth, not because of a lack of money, but because of a lack of supervision. Wealth preservation is boring. It does not generate headlines. It does not generate excitement, but it generates stability. And stability is the true financial luxury. Making money can be exciting. Preserving it is strategic. The financial system does not promise stability. It promises opportunity. But opportunity without discipline is dangerous. This content is educational and seeks to raise awareness about risk management and wealth protection. It is not about living in fear. It is about operating with responsibility. If this analysis helped you understand how people lose all their savings in minutes, share it with someone who values their financial stability. Subscribe if you want more serious content on personal finance, risk management, and smart wealth building. Here, we talk about money without the fantasies. I will see you in the next video.